Greetings, my fellow freedom-loving sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Saturday, April 22nd, 2017. Yeah, it's going to be real brief. And I'm at the same place again, CJ's Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, along the beautiful New River of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right along southwest section of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. Yeah, I just was convinced to do one more episode, two birds and one stone. And this one here is going to be pretty brief. I just got this today from Newsbud, and it's an exclusive. And it's by Kurt Nemo, who does Another Day in the Empire and does Geopolitical Report, his videos, and he is on the Newsbud network. And many people have talked about Moab, mother of all bombs, and people are celebrating, oh yeah, they got these people. But you know what? Our tax dollars are at work on these areas where the caves were built. And it says here, Trump's Pentagon bombs caves built by the CIA. And as it reads here, after the United States dropped a GBU-43B, or Massive Ordnance Air Blast Bomb, the largest conventional bomb in its arsenal, on a tunnel complex in the Nangarhar province of Afghanistan, both WikiLeaks and Edward Snowden tweeted the complex was built by the CIA. Those tunnels the U.S. is bombing in Afghanistan, they were built by the CIA, WikiLeaks tweeted. I remember putting that out there on April 13th. I did share that on my Facebook page. Those Mujahideen tunnel networks were bombing Afghanistan. We paid for them, Arizona tweeted on the same day. Both cited an article published by the New York Times on December 11, 2005, 4 years after the attacks on the World Trade Center in New York and the Pentagon in Washington. It is worth quoting the Times at length. The first time bin Laden has seen the Tora Bora Caves, he had been a young Mujahideen fighter and a recent university graduate with a degree in civil engineering. It had been some 20 years before, during Washington's first Afghan war, the decade-long CIA-financed jihad of the 1980s against the Soviet occupation, rising more than 13,000 feet, 35 miles southwest of the provisional capital of Jalalabad. Tora Bora was a fortress of snow-capped peaks, deep valleys, and fortified caves. Its miles of tunnels, bunkers, and base camps, dug deeply into the steep rock walls, has been part of a CIA-financed complex built for the Mujahideen. Bin Laden had flown in dozens of bulldozers and other pieces of heavy equipment from his father's construction empire, the Saudi Bin Laden Group, one of the most prosperous construction companies in Saudi Arabia and throughout the Persian Gulf. According to one frequently told story, bin Laden would drive one of the bulldozers himself after a precipitous mountain peaks, constructing defensive tunnels and storage depots. Emphasis mine. This fact was not reported by the establishment media after the Moab, mother of all bombs, was dropped in Nangarhar, allegedly on a faction of the Islamic State said to have occupied the tunnel and cave complex. The Tora Bora Caves, known locally as the Spingar Cave Complex, are also located in Nangarhar on the border with Pakistan. According to reports, fighters from the Islamic State in Khorasan province, or ISKP, present at the complex when Moab was dropped were from Uzbekistan and Pakistan, and included a group of Orkazis and other tribal fighters from the Tehrik Taliban. Pakistan veterans from Pakistan's tribal area insurgency were forced across the border by the Pakistani military in Zarab offensive launched in June 2015, according to the Baron Osman, Kate Clark, and Martijn van Bilgert, writing for the Afghan Analyst Network. Nangarhar is in the same region as the Coast Province. In 1986, during the CIA engineering war against the Soviets in Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden and the Pakistani intelligence service ISI worked together to build a tunnel complex in Khost. Matthew Forney of Time magazine visited part of Tora Bora Cave complex for the first time. The famous man-made caves of Tora Bora were thrown open, he wrote on December 11, 2001. These weren't the five-star accommodations with internal hydroelectric power plants and brick-lined walls areas to drive armored tanks and children's tricycles and tunnels like capillaries that have captured the world's imagination. Such commodious quarters might exist higher in the White Mountains, but these were simply rough bunkers embedded deep into the mountain. They were remarkable nonetheless. Noted Pakistani journalist Ahmad Rashid wrote in his book, Taliban, Militant Islam, Oil, and Fundamentalism in Central Asia. Bin Laden helped to build the Coast Tunnel Complex, which the CIA was funding as a major arms storage depot, training facility, and medical center for the Mujahideen. Deep under the mountains close to the Pakistan border, for the first time in Coast, set up his own training camp for Arab Afghans who are now increasingly saw this lanky, wealthy, and charismatic Saudi as their leader. The Guardian was released November 13, 2000. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette released it September 23, 2001. The Hindu, September 27, 2001. And other newspapers report the CIA had helped build the complex. See 1986, Bin Laden's work indirect with the CIA. There's a link for that. So a lot of these things have links you can read for yourselves. Although the establishment media briefly touched on Osama bin Laden's connection to the CIA prior to and shortly after the 9/11 attack. Since time, any serious mention of the connection has either found its way to the memory hole or is dismissed as a baseless conspiracy theory. The CIA insists it had no relationship with the Saudi later said to be assassinated on the orders of the President Barack Obama. In fact, numerous news reports state bin Laden died of natural causes in December 2001. This was reported by the Egyptian newspaper Al Wafad on December 26, 2001. That's a link for that. Yeah, it gets a link for that on there as well. So it has a lot of merit. I do remember reading about that as well. So, my friends, that's why I tell people, don't believe the hype. When they said Osama bin Laden was dead on May 1st, I think it was 2009, everyone was like hyping, 2011, something like that. Someone was hyping it up. I'm like, don't believe the hype. I told us to folks. And many of them that were friends of mine, we're thinking about you, Craig. All right, I will continue on here. Omission, however, does not change historical fact. According to Michael Schauer, head of the CIA's first bin Laden unit between 1980 and 89, about $600 million passed through Osama bin Laden's charity fronts. Most went to Maktab al-Qadamat, or MAK, also known as Al-Kifa, and came primarily to rich donors in the Persian Gulf. The money was used to supply the Mujahideen fighting against the Soviets. See Robert Dreyfuss' Devil's Game, How the United States Helped Unleash Fundamentalist Islam. The New Yorker also reported this on January 24, 2000, but the article has since disappeared from the internet. Elements of the Mujahideen eventually splintered into Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. As noted, MAK was also supported by the Pakistani intelligence. MAK is nurtured by Pakistan State Security Services, the Inner Services Intelligence Agency, or ISI, the CIA's primary conduit for conducting the covert war against Moscow's occupation. NBC News reported on August 21st, 1998, well before the official narrative on the Osama bin Laden charge change following 9/11. United Press International article published on June 24, 2001 states that bin Laden worked closely with Saudi, Pakistani, and U.S. intelligence services to recruit the Mujahideen from many Muslim countries. With support of the Pakistani military dictator General Zia-ul-Haq, the U.S. began recruiting and training both Mujahideen fighters from the 3 million Afghan refugees in Pakistan and large number of mercenaries from other Islamic countries, writes Phil Gasper. Estimates of how much money the U.S. government channeled to the Afghan rebels over the next decade vary, but most sources put the figure between $3 billion and $6 billion or more. Whatever the exact amount, this was the largest covert action program since World War II, much bigger, for an example, than Washington's intervention in Central America at the same time, who received considerably more publicity. Yes, a distraction. I remember this time, too, during the 80s, so I can say that. How much money was spent on the coast and the Nangarhar province cave and tunnel complexes is unknown. The Moab bombing in the Nangarhar province is not the first time the U.S. targeted caves and tunnels in Afghanistan. In November 2001, the CIA urged then-President Bush to attack the caves of the Tora Bora, where it was said Osama bin Laden was hiding. Although this is implorable considering the Saudi was deathly ill and passed away a few weeks later. A fierce debate was raging inside the upper reaches of the U.S. government. The White House had received a guarantee from Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf in November that the Pakistani army would cover the southern pass from the caves, writes Ron Susskind, author of the 1% Doctrine, Deep Inside America's Pursuit of Its Enemies Since 9/11. Musharraf and the Pakistanis, however, didn't live up to their end of the deal, and the Al-Qaeda fighters were allowed to escape after ceasefire arranged by U.S. allied warlord Haji Zama Gamsharik and Hazrat Ali. The U.S. also made the escape possible by refusing Brigadier General James Mattis, currently Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense, move around 4,000 troops into the Tora Bora area to seal off the caves. The New York Times later reported that the Bush administration secretly concluded that the refusal of CENTCOM to dispatch the Marines, along with their failure to commit U.S. ground forces to Afghanistan generally, was the gravest error of the war. The recent Moab bombing and the earlier attack on Tora Bora revealed a distinct pattern. The United States is in the business of covertly creating terrorist organizations and infrastructures and using these to perpetuate the war on terror, and thus permitting a huge windfall realized by the military-industrial complex and associated industries. The mother of all bombs attack was not a strategic military move by the Pentagon. It is a political stunt designed to send a message to North Korea as tensions between the Hermit Kingdom and the United States reach an unprecedented level. It is also being used to shore up consensus for the use of large munitions. According to the polls, the bombing is supported by nearly 70% of the American people. According to former Afghan President Hamid Karzai, the use of the weapon an immense atrocity against the Afghan people. Despite claims by the government, the bomb killed 96 militants. We will never know for sure the extent of the damage or the real number of casualties. On Thursday, Defense Secretary James Mattis said during a trip to Israel he did not intend to discuss damage estimates. For many years, we have not been calculating the results of warfare by simply quantifying the number of enemy killed, Mattis said. Journalists have not been allowed to access the area. My, oh my, oh my. For all those people that were getting aroused and get an erection and climax when this bomb dropped, and people like, mission accomplished, that is my man. You've possibly been duped once again. God bless the New World Order. Imperialism is the only way. Right? So you could have your little champagne toast goes, I love the empire. As long as my man's in there, it's all good. I would like the status quo to continue. You folks out there should be proud of yourselves. Yeah, that's right. And you know what? And I don't care if you want to defriend me on Facebook because it's all, to me, it is all just another world as a stage. We won't know for sure how many people were murdered from this event. But everyone assumed it's ISIS because you all will go for our face value, but never want to take the initiative to examine the broader dynamics. Okay, so it doesn't matter who's in there. If your hero is in there, your Lord and Savior, and support this, you've been duped. Hey, the same people that were complaining of were complaining about the whole thing when Bush and Cheney on the war in Iraq, and all you people were angry, you vote for Obama and worship him like he's some god. When he attacked Libya, you didn't say a damn thing. So you know what? Don't get too critical of what happened here, because you've been duped as well. Well, that's what I want to say. I made it pretty brief. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's pretty cool, whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum. Keep me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Scene.life, Minds.com, or in the freedomsnetwork.com. Or you can email me at LookYouLuck3@gmail.com. Or you encrypted types or subscribers to Proton Mail. You can hit me on LookYouLuck03, which is number 03 altogether, at protonmail.com. I will be taking donations. Greatly appreciate it. I do have a Patreon account.com. It's patreon.com/LokiLuck with 3 I's all together, which is the Roman numeral 3. Well, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.